pitchers or hitters, and we're just playing a doubleheader in the early going. Actually had a nice day this morning, a couple of hits, and he's back out there this afternoon.
We saw him with San Diego. We saw him last year with the Cincinnati Reds. And the starter for the Miami Marlins today, big old Matt Latos.
A lot of new faces with this Marlins team. They are predicted to be 2 or 3 in the National League East to challenge the Nationals. Probably their most important acquisition is this guy. He's got to give him a bunch of innings. Last year he was only healthy for about half a season with the Cincinnati Reds, but he's a big, strong right-hander, and if he can get past those injuries, this Marlins team is a lot better.
Behind Matt Latos, the Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers D for Mike Redmond's club. Ichiro Suzuki at 41 years young is in left. Marcelo Zuna in center. Giancarlo Stanton is in right. Prado, Brignac, Baker, and Morsel on the infield. Salta Lamacchia is behind the plate, and Latos on the mound. The $300 million man. How many times is that going to be said in spring and for years to come in describing Giancarlo Stanton?
Well, Stanton not only wanted to stay in Miami, but he wanted to stay with a winner in Miami. So he really forced their hand a bit and said, I want you to go out and get some other players. Yes, I'll sign here. Yes, I'll sign for a long time. But we want some good players to go along with me here, and Latos is one of them.
And the first pitch is taken for a strike by Matt Carpenter, and we're underway. Since Matt Carpenter moved into the #1 spot in the lineup for Mike Matheny's club, which was early in the 2013 season, you may recall it was against the Philadelphia Phillies. He has thrived in that spot. That is off the glove of Baker into center field, and a base hit for Matt Carpenter.
Second base number 16, Baltimore.
Carpenter doing what he's done since he's been in that spot, getting things started. Sometimes he does it by getting deep into counts and getting the walk, and here an infield hit off the glove of Baker. And I think the Cardinals are going to be searching for the right order. We saw Jason Hayward in the second spot yesterday. Today, it's Colton Wong.
Very left-handed lineup that we talked about yesterday when you include a Matt Adams and a Jason Hayward, and the list goes on and on. But Colton Wong was not in that lineup yesterday. He is today and looks at ball one.
He seems a lot more relaxed to me. The times I've been around Colton this spring, it's like, okay, I belong here. He doesn't have that look of tension and like, boy, I better be great today. He's the Cardinals' second baseman, period, and he's acting like it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's a situation with Colton Wong as you get a look at Carpenter at first where, as you said, I belong. I'm supposed to be here. Remember what happened in the World Series against the Red Sox, and then last year at one point sent back down and then came back up and was outstanding.
And that's not an arrogant kind of aura that he has. It's just a confident one.
Colton Wong last year finished third in the Rookie of the Year balloting in the National League. Jacob deGrom, a right-handed pitcher for the Mets, won that award. Billy Hamilton was second, and Wong was third. Here's a 1-1 pitch. And a double play ball hit to second. Out there on to first, and it's a double play for 6-3.
This is a good Miami defense from top to bottom. Echeverria is their normal shortstop. He was second in the Gold Glove balloting at that position, but their outfield defense is terrific. Normally with Osuna in center and or Stanton in right, you've got Ichiro playing today in left field, and we know how good he's been in his career.
Christian Yelich, young player that nearly made their club a couple of spring trainings ago, was the best player in camp, but because he was so young, they felt he needed seasoning, and last year was an outstanding player for Miami at the Major League club. Johnny Peralta on the first pitch, a fly ball into right. Stanton is under it, and he has it. So a leadoff base hit by Carpenter, erased on a double play, and a fly ball off the bat of Johnny Peralta. This is Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports. Fruit League action here on Fox Sports Midwest. Mike Redmond, a look at his lineup. A lot of changes when you think about what the Marlins may be this year. D. Gordon, the former Dodger, then Suzuki, Stanton, and Morse, Prado, Ozuna, Saltalamacchia, the switch-hitting catcher, Baker, and Brignac. And D. Gordon will serve as the designated hitter against today's pitcher for the Cardinals, Zach Petrick. And the first pitch is taken for a ball. Petrick so far has been great, and that's a look at his numbers last season, beginning at Springfield, finishing up with Memphis. But this year, in spring training play, 4 innings, no runs, no hits, 5 strikeouts.
2013 minor league pitcher of the year. Petrick was not a high round draft choice. Matheny talking about him today. He's a guy that just keeps getting better and better and kind of leaping over some people that were picked ahead of him. And his mind is once you have the draft, whoever's best gets to pitch. And Petrick has shown that he's capable of pitching at the AAA level. And next step, big leagues.
The 2-1 pitch to Gordon. Lined into center field and a base hit. Fell behind in the count and then a base hit. Hitters count for D. Gordon. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense for the Cardinals with Tommy Pham off to a great start this spring at left. Peter Borges in center, Stephen Piscotty in right. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Adams on the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind home plate.
And we said we'd be focusing on that competition in the outfield. It's not just the offense, it's the defense. Borges very much a plus defender in center field, and Pham getting the start in left, Piscotty in right, and that's the competition we talked about in the open.
And it brings in Ichiro Suzuki as they keep a close eye on D. Gordon. That's a good idea. D. Gordon led the National League a year ago in stolen bases. He had 64 steals last year. That was more than the entire Marlins roster. They had 58. When you watch Petrick, you'll see a very good fastball, mid-90s, and it's the secondary pitches that are a work in progress. And Ricky, you know how a base stealer can disrupt a rhythm towards the plate as Ichiro grounds to first. Adams bobbles and gets Ichiro at first base. Thought about going to second, bobbled with it, and he made sure to get the one out.
And that's what speed does for a team. Even when a ball's not hit hard like that, you're thinking about the speed of D. Gordon, so you try to rush it if you're Matt Adams. So speed is not just stolen bases. It's not just taking the extra base. It's putting pressure on the other team, and that's what D. Gordon will do to you.
Giancarlo Stanton will dig in for the first time this afternoon. And his contract is 13 years, $325 million. Largest contract in the history of North American professional sports. Remember, he was hit by Mike Fiers late in the season. He was putting up MVP-type numbers and hit in the face, done for the year, so a special helmet and mask for him. Runner at second is D. Gordon, and the 1-0.
Dan, we had a chance this winter, you and I, at meetings to kind of review the coverage of that moment when Stanton was hit, and it was, it's painful to watch.
It certainly is.
And certainly kind of had a lot of stories to it. His father was there at the game, and they kind of showed his concern. And I mean, you just don't know how bad it's going to be when you see something like that happen. I for one, being a fan of the game and just a fan of just sports in general, you're just happy to see him back competing again.
No question about it. Great player and one of the young faces not only of this organization but of all of Major League Baseball. He, along with Bryce Harper and Mike Trout, and the list goes on and on. I wonder, Rick, if he's going to see a steady diet, especially from right-handers, of breaking balls, just to see how he hangs in against those pitches after what took place last year.
Well, you wonder about the pitcher's mindset, too, about coming inside. You have to come inside on a hitter. You just can't ignore the inner half. If you don't throw fastballs in, the sliders away don't work. But I wonder if just pitchers are going to be a little tentative about pounding him in.
The 2-2 as Molina sets up outside, and it misses.
Pretty far off the plate. And, you know, there's, I think, at least some question about some hitters when they get hit that they're actually diving out over the plate trying to protect that outer half, and sometimes walking into the hit by pitch. but you have to pitch to both sides.
Ooh, doesn't get the call. A little bit low, and Stanton draws a 1-out walk. He did not miss by much.
Marlins first baseman number 38, Michael Morris.
So Dan, we talked about the new faces. It's not just Stanton, or not just Latos and Suzuki and Gordon, but it's this guy Michael Morse, who had the game-winning RBI against the Royals in Game 7 of the World Series. He's a professional. I mean, he is a professional at bat. He's a guy like Mark Reynolds now with the Cardinals that can hurt you with his power.
And a key at bat that he had wearing that Giants uniform against the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League Championship Series with a home run. He is from this area along with Matt Latos, so these two guys, so to speak, coming back home. Latos not born here but raised here, and this is big for them.
B. Gordon from Florida also, so I think that's part of maybe their move with this club, is to create some local interest in this team.
Both Latos and Morse were at the inaugural Marlins game back in 1993 as fans of this organization, which is always cool to hear about.
Absolutely.
0-2 the count on Michael Morse. Here's an 0-2 pitch by Petrick. Missed on the outside corner.
Morse has such a unique style. There's not a cookie cutter way to go about being a hitter in the big leagues. Morse stands like a statue at the plate. I mean, no movement at all. Normally talk about getting a trigger. He's about as stiff as you can be at this point. Not any movement, but he's ready.
Arms extended. You would think that if you throw like Petrick does, 93 to 95 miles an hour, you could go in. From 0-2 to 2-2. Runners at first and second here in the bottom of the first for the Miami Marlins. Here it comes.
Well, he went in just like you mentioned, Petrick trying to throw that fastball in on the fist. And what they always say about the guys that you can get in, the power hitters, you better get it in.
If not, it travels a long way. And Morris pops it foul and out of play. You've seen with D. Gordon at second base, Colton Wong, Cardinals second baseman, really trying to keep him close with that good speed. And not only was it a learning year offensively for Colton Wong, I think defensively too. He's
Absolutely.
a good player.
Very much so. There's Wong close to second.
And a 3-2. Runners go, and it's a base hit into left. Tommy Pham, the only play for him is to go to third, and it's 1-0 Marlins on an RBI base hit by Michael Morse to drive in D. Gordon.
Location, not quite in enough, so Morse is able to get enough of that to drive it through the infield, not hit hard. But again, you go back to the speed of Gordon. Had they been able to get the lead runner, Matt Adams, on that ground ball off the bat of Suzuki, maybe you pitch differently to Stanton. Maybe the inning is very, very different.
Good point. I have always liked this player at the plate, Martin Prado, who can play all over the infield, and he was picked up from the Yankees. Nathan Eovaldi, Domingo Germán to the Yankees for Martin Prado and David Phelps, along with some cash in that deal. And it wasn't like he was bad for the Yankees. He had a good year.
Hit over 300. He's a career .291 hitter, and every good team has about 4 Martin Prados on it. Guys that just give you good at-bats. Maybe they're not superstars, but they're kind of that next level. They're just good players.
We saw him with Arizona, the Yankees, and now the Marlins, and a breaking ball is taken high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike, and Petrick is falling behind on some of these hitters.
So we've mentioned the new Marlins, Dan, but you can add Dan Herron, you add Aaron Crow to that list. Both could be big impact pitchers for this club, and Mike Redmond, I think, is going to have a little more pressure on him this year to win.
2-2 the count. Aaron Crow, the University of Missouri product, and also pitched with the Kansas City Royals. Real hard thrower. Dan Herron, the big question with him, the former Cardinal, drafted originally by St. Louis, and he was with L.A., and he's from the West Coast, would be whether or not he would accept this trade and pitch for the Marlins. Prado hits into a double play ball. 6-4-3 on the double play. The Cardinals have Adams, Molina, Reynolds coming up. 1-0. Marlins on top. On Fox Sports Midwest, the Grapefruit League action of 2015. And this is game number 2 of 15 that we will have on Fox Sports Midwest. And we love to bring it to you. This is something that you'll see in spring training action. You never know, a car just may make its way onto the field and go right by the bullpen mound. Watch out down there, guys.
I'm not sure what the grounds crew thought about maybe the edge of that mound itself there either. I mean, we've come a long way since the old bullpen carts. Do you remember those?
I was just going to bring this up.
Are you in my head again?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Matt Adams will dig in. As you know, part of my job is to work with the Cardinals scoreboard department. And so we think about, you know, unique features and fun things to do with the players as Adams looks at a ball down low. So we said to all the players, you can change anything you want in the game. It can be outside the box. We don't care. Just what do you want?
Be creative.
Be creative. And here's the 1-0 pitch to Adams as he pulls it foul. And Trevor Rosenthal came up with this. He said, look, for bullpen guys, I want to be driven in from the bullpen to the mound.
Old school.
I'm done running. I just want to be dropped off right on the mound and ready to go. I like it.
I'm not sure why they started that, but that was such a part of the deal, wasn't it?
It was. I loved it. And the unique looking golf carts that were turned into unique looking carts that brought the player in from the bullpen.
I remember the Met hat on top of the one in New York.
That's the one I remember.
In fact, the driver was Enzo, who became a good friend of mine. I can even tell you his name.
That's great.
I pitched a lot in New York.
Oh, that's great. Here's a 1-2 to Matt Adams. And a swing and a miss as the ball scoots away from Saltalamacchia. Throw down to first, and it gets away, and Adams is aboard. Jared Saltalamacchia, he's in year 2 of a 3-year contract, led all National League catchers with 15 errors a year ago.
I think he threw a sailor right there. Sometimes when you don't let a ball go, it will just sail. And Morse, I'm not sure whether he could have maybe tried to come off the base and then come back to it. There's the strikeout. Plenty of time, so he throws it, and the ball sails on Morse, and maybe the idea for Morse is catch it first, come back to the bag. And I think he was expecting the throw to be certainly more square to the bag than it was, but really just not Not a good play at all defensively for the Marlins.
For those of you that are tuning in for the first time this year, you are getting a look at a slim down, and I mean a slim down, Yadier Molina. He has come in to camp in great shape. Where I noticed it most was in his face. Very, very thin, and the reason he did this is to try to extend his career, put more innings on that body behind home plate, take the wear and tear off the knees.
So there's a lot of wear and tear clearly on hips, knees, lower leg, everything when you're a catcher. I mean, it's just not an easy position to play, and this may extend his career some.
And the Cardinals have hit into 2 double plays thus far, this one going 5-4-3.
I'm not sure it's really about extending the career of Yadier Molina as much as it is extending the career catching of Yadier Molina.
Good point.
There's going to be a time where he's going to play somewhere else in the field, and he can play first. He's got great hands. He can play a lot of places. But, of course, we follow the Cardinals all season long, want to see him behind the plate as long as possible.
Well, Matt Latos has logged a sub-3.5 ERA for 5 years running. Last year, though, a different story, plagued by knee and arm injuries, as Mark Reynolds digs in. And the first pitch is a strike. Limited to just 16 starts after being extremely durable the previous 6 years.
91, 92 with a fastball, has 2 breaking balls and a split to go with it. Fastball's pretty straight. And that's something he's trying to work on, getting a little more movement on that fastball. He's not really as big as he is a swing and miss type pitcher. But Latos certainly, as you mentioned, has been durable and capable of big wins.
Mark Reynolds with a 3-run homer yesterday. And the breaking ball is taken inside. And to further your point, they want to see, the Marlins do, if he can stay healthy. And really, if he advances from those knee and arm issues, to continue to contribute to get higher velocity, because his velocity a year ago did dip. You know, he was a hard thrower at one point, and that velocity did go down a year ago. The 2-1 pitch. Also leads the league in tattoos.
Is that official?
Unofficially. By the way, you know who one of his heroes of tattoo art making is? It's not too far from us. Birdman with the Miami Heat.
I did not know that.
I'm being serious.
So I wouldn't think you'd make that up.
The right fielder.
And a 2-out walk to Mark Reynolds, and it brings in Stephen Piscotty.
We had a couple of fans before the game that tell me, are you going to get a tattoo this year if the Cardinals win the World Series? So they were listening last year.
And here's Stephen Piscotty, who was outstanding last spring when he hit .342 with a home run, 8 RBIs in just 22 games. And he pops one foul and out of play. Last year at AAA, did not get called up to the major leagues. Did make the AAA All-Star game as a member of Memphis. And he led all Cardinals minor leaguers in doubles with 32.
So we're at the outfield spot in the lineup here. It's Piscotty, Pham, and Borges. Piscotty at 24, the youngest of the 3. The other 2 are 27. Of course, Borges the most experienced. And how about that stolen base?
Let me ask you this. Are we ever going to say this year, again, Mark Reynolds with a walk and a stolen base?
Well,
I'm not so sure.
You won't say it often.
Rarely does he walk. Rarely does he steal a base. He puts himself in scoring position, and the 0-2 in the dirt. But, you know, you talked to Mike Matheny yesterday, and he said, look, I'm watching guys make an impression for me.
Yeah.
And how do you not come away impressed with Mark Reynolds the last 2 days with a home run, hit by pitch, and now a walk and a steal?
And what Mike was really saying is he cares about performance just because it's spring training. It's not about just getting ready for the season. I want you to be game ready here, compete, show me something, and step up. And I think that's what certainly Reynolds has done the last couple of days. And I'm sure he is thrilled to be in a Cardinal uniform. He's traveled some, but he's on a team that expects to win, and it starts with the manager.
2-2 the count after 0-2. Reynolds at second base. 1-0 Miami. So play here in the top of the second. That's hit foul and out of play. You think about outfield arms for the Marlins. Suzuki at the age of 41, still with a cannon in left. Ozuna, one of the best outfield arms in all the baseball, and Stanton as well.
Suzuki threw out a Cardinal about 5 days ago in a spring training game.
It was Dean Anna.
And he threw him out by about 20 feet. And there were questions about whether Suzuki's arm was maybe 80% of what it used to be. I'm not sure that's true.
2-2 is ripped into left field. We'll see it right here. Suzuki fires to the plate right on time. And the tag by Saltalamacchia. 41, beating Father Time out in left. Suzuki for the second time in spring, getting a base runner of the St. Louis Cardinals. This time it's Mark Reynolds at the plate. Saltalamacchia with the tag. Midway through 2, Marlins on top. Reynolds gunned down by veteran Ichiro Suzuki from left field. We were just talking about it, Rick. The fact is, he can still flat out play.
How about the way he charged the ball, body moving towards the plate, and there's that arm that's a right field arm in left field. Your better arms are always in right, and your below par arms are typically in left field, but the Marlins are blessed with outstanding defenders everywhere in the outfield, so Suzuki playing left today throws out Reynolds.
And it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Marcell Ozuna. A look at Reynolds trying to score.
Gets a good jump, too. I think he gets a good jump, sees the ball behind him, inside of the bag, did everything right, just couldn't beat the arm of Suzuki.
Up the middle and a diving stop. No, past the diving Colton Wong and into center field. Went right through Petrick and under the glove, it looked like, of Colton Wong. And a single to start the bottom of the second for the Miami Marlins. Their third hit today to go along with a walk. We should mention that Petrick is getting the start that would normally be occupied by Lance Lynn, who's been dealing with a sore hip. Not expected to be serious, but in spring training, you keep your veterans that you know will be part of the club, or in this case, the rotation out.
Yeah, Matheny said today that he's really kind of still working through when Lance will actually throw to live hitters again, and kind of unsure how they want to do it, but he expects a decision in the middle of the week to have him throw either in a simulated game or just get him back out there, because he doesn't really believe it's a serious deal. But again, smart to be cautious early in spring training.
Saltalamacchia just got a piece, and it's no balls and 2 strikes.
Although we should say it's not really early in spring training in one sense. This is day 22 already. Even though the Cardinals have played just 8 games, it's early in the schedule. but they've been down here a long time.
0-2 on Jared Saltalamacchia. Breaks his bat and lines it into right center field for a base hit. Ozuna on his way to third. And the Marlins have runners at first and third with nobody out here in the bottom of the second.
The second baseman, number 10, Jeff Baker.
Aggressive base running there by Ozuna, getting a good jump and reading that maybe I can go first to third, and a ball hit the really shallow center field. And I'm not sure whether the Cardinals just were slow to react to that or didn't think he would go, but that's very, very good base running. That's Brett Butler, their third base coach, waving him on. He was a pretty good runner himself back in the day.
Was he? Bunter, runner, player, tough. Nobody out. Infield is drawn in, and the breaking ball is taken outside. This is Jeff Baker playing second base, batting eighth in this lineup.
So Ozuna, you can tell it's a base hit, cracked bat and all, and he just doesn't even need Brett Butler on his own, first to third. Good teams know how to run the bases, don't they?
I was about to say, Rick, and I agree with you, isn't that what you're looking for too in spring training, with some of the little things that make winning teams, like going from first to third on a base hit?
Played for a manager in Alaska one summer, and yes, they play baseball in Alaska.
All day, don't they?
All day. Mark Newman was his name. He actually works for the Yankees, or did last I heard, in their development system. And at the end of every game, he would go through a list of the 7 or 8 or 9 things. He wrote them down during the game. 7 or 8 or 9 little things that made the difference between winning and losing that day. And he was a brilliant baseball guy, and still is. And I've never forgotten that way of thinking, that it's not just the big, yeah, you remember the 3-run home run, but the little things add up for sure.
Well, this is not what the Cardinals wanted to see. It's a pair of walks and 4 hits allowed for Petrick, and he's only recorded 3 outs.
And it's when your world starts to spin a little bit. If you're a young pitcher trying to impress at big league camp, you got the pitching coach out to talk to you, you're having a hard time finding the strike zone, you're really facing, for the most part, the A lineup for this Marlins team, and it becomes a very lonely place.
Cardinals spring training is underway, and Fox Sports Midwest has you covered. Live game coverage continues all weekend. Cards take on the Twins tomorrow and Sunday at noon. Cardinals baseball, it's back, and it's only here on Fox Sports Midwest. You'll be a part of those telecasts tomorrow with the Twins TV guys, and it's Minnesota back-to-back. There's a good changeup for strike one. Reed Brignac, who's been around a long time and playing shortstop today. The base is loaded for the Miami Marlins. The corners are in for St. Louis. Outfield is shallow. And the 0-1. If you're Mike Matheny, Derek Lilliquist, and you're looking at a young guy, it's a fine line of getting experience against major league players, but also you don't want Petrick in this case to walk away thinking, why, I can't compete at this level, or I just got beat up by a major league club.
You want experience, but you want a good experience. You don't want bad experience.
Right.
Because that does stick in your head at times. You think, man, I'm not sure I can do this, and you try to kind of come up with the magic pitch, and the easy thing to start to do right now, if you're Zach Petrick, is to try to overthrow something. Try to do more than you're capable of doing.
And that's pulled foul inside the Cardinals dugout, and it's a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cardinals have a right-hander getting loose in the pen. I believe that's Carlos Villanueva, who's been around a long time and was with the Chicago Cubs the last couple of years. The 2-2. Lined out to left field. Pham is over, diving for it, can't come up with it. Into the corner it goes. 1 run is in. Here comes number 2. Here comes number 3. Reed Brignac with a triple that scores 3, and it's 4-0 Miami. Boy, boy, the last thing that Tommy Pham needs is to be hurt again, which has been the story of this 27-year-old's career. He's off to a terrific start this spring, and he has been sidetracked in his career because of injuries. Boy, oh boy. Guy can't catch a break.
Well, it's a terrific effort by Tommy Pham trying to save that triple, and certainly looks like he's in some ongoing pain here. You don't know if it's a knee or a foot or an ankle, but on that dive he's certainly limping, and that's Chris Conroy, the Cardinals trainer, out there attending to him at the time. Here's the effort by Tommy Pham. He lays out, and whether that right knee got caught under him. Hustles to get the baseball, but certainly a frustrating thing for Tommy Pham, who's hit over 400 this spring.
Man, oh man.
He is leaving the stadium out through the portal down the left field line. Looks like Ty Kelly going to come in to play left field. Wow, what a shame.
He really is, Rick, because here's a guy that at the age of 27 is trying to make the club, along with Ty Kelly, to show his versatility. Ty can play the infield or outfield, but Tommy Pham, rated by Baseball America in different points and times in his career, is the best outfielder defensively in the Cardinals system, best arm, best athlete. It's just a matter of staying on the field, and he can't. And that's what's so frustrating for him and the club.
Well, there's nothing in that dive that was overly awkward. It just, again, sometimes the angle you fall at or whatever it might be, but you just feel for Tommy Pham, and you hope it's just a matter of them being overly precautious right now with him, but we just don't know.
So nobody out, and it brings in D. Gordon with a runner at third, and also brings in the infield. Hit to short. Look back at the runner at third, and one away. Gordon now 1 for 2 as Brignac stayed at third base. And it brings in Ichiro Suzuki. Some clouds overhead, and the temperature has dipped considerably here in Jupiter. Ichiro has already posted a couple of outfield assists against the Cardinals, and he's 166 hits away from 3,000 in his wonderful career.
Had the pleasure of seeing So Taguchi here at the ballpark a few days ago, covering Suzuki for the MLB network that does games and covers games on their telecast to Japan. And it was so great to visit with So. He was in the Cardinals clubhouse and has that same smile he's always had.
Remember, his wife was a television reporter in Japan,
Emiko,
and both have become now fluent in English.
And he told me she's not reporting anymore, but now he is. Now he's the TV guy. And I reminded him that back in the day he taught me how to count to 5 in Japanese, which took us about 4 months.
What a good guy. I think of Ichiro, and it starts to rain a little bit here at Roger Dean Stadium, and I go back to when he was first signed with Seattle and the Cardinals had first signed So Taguchi. And Taguchi was a terrific defensive player, and we wondered about his offense. And the same with Ichiro when he first got to the United States.
Well, Ichiro had a long and good career in Japan before coming here. He didn't come here young. He was already a star. And just amazing the years he's put together in the major leagues as the rain, as it often does here in Florida, comes out of nowhere and comes in a hurry and comes hard.
Ichiro pops it up, and battling the wind and the raindrops, it's Johnny Peralta who will make the catch. You wonder if that may be it, but putting the tarp on the field. Wouldn't surprise you, would it? It is coming down very hard.
It makes sense, I would think, at this point.
You know, last year we had a game like this, and Mark Ellis got hurt at third. And Ellis was never the same player after that.
You have Stanton at the plate. You have a pitcher that might not have the greatest of footing on the mound.
It's a great point. Now the rain subsides just a bit. But your point being, you've got 300, almost 400 million tied up at the guy at the plate. The last thing you need is a pitcher to slip and put one where he's not supposed to.
Absolutely.
So 2 outs and a runner at third. And Patrick is struggling getting a grip on the baseball. You can see him fiddling with his finger.
To our point, he's asked for the rosin bag. Molina hand delivering it. Guess the other rosin bag is a little too wet right now.
This inning started with a single by Ozuna to center. Saltalamacchia fought off an 0-2 pitch and a base hit into right. Walk to Baker, triple by Brignac. And with the runner at third, nobody out, D. Gordon grounded out to short. Pop out by Suzuki to short. Now it's Giancarlo Stanton who walked his first time up. And wouldn't you know, here comes the sun, and a fly ball out to deep right field, going back to Scotty, and he makes the catch. So the Marlins have 3 more here in the bottom of the second. We head to the third. Miami on top. .com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. We are at spring training in Jupiter, Florida, and Roger Dean Stadium. Stan McNeil has joined us for this inning, and Stan writes at FoxSportsMidwest.com. Always good to see you, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Dan.
Spring training, your thoughts initially?
Well, until the last inning, we haven't seen any significant injuries. Everybody stayed pretty healthy. The young guys have been making a good showing, and the veterans have been getting their work in.
There is Ty Kelly, who's now hitting for Tommy Pham, and the last inning that you're referring to is the bottom of the second, the injury by Tommy Pham, and unfortunately, Stan, he just cannot stay healthy.
Yeah, and he was off to a really strong start this spring, so you hope this doesn't keep him out very long. I mean, we don't know enough right now to make any kind of conclusion like that. But no, he was. I think he has a real chance to make the team as a 5th outfielder.
You talk, Stan, about the players getting their work in. You're here early, and certainly the players are as well. We're covering these games that start at 1 o'clock Eastern time, but most of these guys are here about 7 in the morning. So there's a lot of moving parts to a spring training, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I arrived around, I got here about 8, a little bit after 8 today, and I was parking way at the back end of the parking lot. You come into the clubhouse, it's already full. Guys have already gotten their work in, and are enjoying a little breakfast and getting ready to go out for their workout, because they work out, what, about 10 o'clock, 9:30 every day. So, yeah, there's a lot more to it than just the games we're watching here.
You got Ty Kelly, you've got Dean Anna, you've got Frank Garcia. Give me your impressions of the man at the plate, Ty Kelly.
Ty Kelly, he's been pretty impressive. It's been interesting to see them move him around. He doesn't play any shortstop. He plays some second, some third. They've had him both in both of the corner outfields, switch hitter. So he's got a lot of versatility there. So I think he's right now. I would put him ahead of Dean Anna if there's any kind of race between those two to make the team.
And the 3-2 is a called third strike, and Kelly is the second strikeout for Matt Latos. In terms of the Cardinals pitchers, as Peter Borges will dig in, but namely Adam Wainwright, John Lackey, Derek Lilliquist has not seen them yet. Do you get concerned about veterans that say, you know what, let's step back a little bit, curtail the workload here in spring?
You know, I think John Lackey, from what Mike and Lackey have said, they had his program, his kind of spring schedule set up before they arrived, and nothing has changed from that. What's he going to make his first start on Tuesday? And I think from there we'll see him every 5 days. Talking to him the other day, that's the way he kind of looked at it. Once he makes his first start, he wants to kind of get into that regular season type routine.
Stan, you and I did a Hot Stove League show together, and we were talking about the importance of Michael Wacha to this team and staying on the Cardinals rotation. What we saw of him, I guess it was now 3 or 4 days ago, pretty impressive. His changeup seemed to be a lot better than it was after his injury a year ago, and it seems like he may be poised to be that guy he was 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked that way, and really, at least talking to him and talking to Mike, they're not really that surprised. You know, I mean, Michael's not thinking about the shoulder. He's just going out there and doing his work. But yeah, the other day, very impressive outing for him.
It now brings in Matt Carpenter. Stan McNeil is with us. Dan McLaughlin and Rick Horton. Stan writing for FoxSportsMidwest.com. You can see his work daily here from spring training. Carpenter singled to center his first time up. How about Lance Lynn? Just your impressions of what he's dealing with right now.
You know, I think that's just very precaution. I think he's fine. He threw a side session today and something that he called kind of a one-inning sim type game where he made some pitches, kind of sat down or just rested just to kind of give the hip a chance to cool off, so went back out there and got it going again. He felt fine. He said today would have been his day to start. He looked at the work he did today as kind of his substitute start. He's going to throw his regular bullpen session, and he said we will see him on a mound throwing to hitters in multiple innings before next weekend. So they're off on Wednesday. I would not be surprised if we didn't see Lance make a start on Thursday.
We just saw the numbers from Lynn a year ago, and I still marvel at the way he is, I guess you'd say, underrated. You think about the important Cardinals, the key players on this team. We always think of Molina and Wainwright, as you should, and Holiday. But Lance Lynn, guys, has been a workhorse for this team.
Absolutely, and if he's overlooked in St. Louis, think about from a national perspective. Right. You know, he's a guy that's hardly talked about on a national perspective, but, you know, he's really, you know, becoming and kind of entering that level of elite type, top of the rotation type starters, even though here he's not going to be the top of the rotation as long as Adams healthy.
Here's a 3-1 pitch, and Carpenter looks at strike 2. Stan McNeil of FoxSportsMidwest.com is with us for the third inning. We'll talk about what's in store for fans on the website as we go along throughout this inning. Carpenter is single first time up, hit .272 a year ago, and has turned into one of the leaders of this team. The 3-2 pitch, and he looks at a ball. So the second walk issued by Matt Latos. Matt Latos was with Cincinnati a year ago, and there's some changes in the Central Division. Who do you like in the Central as you look at it on paper in early spring?
You know, there's no doubt the division will be deeper with what all the Cubs did, but the team that I'm kind of have an eye on are the Reds. You know, I mean, they had a pretty dismal season last year, largely because of injuries, but you know, if Joey Votto is healthy, and I haven't heard very lately, but all reports were that he was back to being Joey Votto. I think he's, that guy's an MVP type player when he's healthy.
Latos calling for it, and a nice pick at first by Michael Morse. We have played 2.5 here at Roger Dean Stadium. More on Lance Lynn and Cal Eldred. Any reason to talk about Cal, we'll do it. 4-0 Marlins. Look at the pitch clock and also a look at Carlos Villanueva, the former Cub. And this is an idea by Rob Manfred of Major League Baseball to speed up the game and in particular try to buy some seconds that turn into minutes, if you will, between innings. Stan McNeil of FoxSportsMidwest.com is with us. Dan McLaughlin as well as Rick Horton. Do you like the moves, number one, Stan, and number two, have the players adjusted early on in spring?
Well, I'm all for anything that can kind of help the pace of game move along. So yeah, I think I don't see any downside to it really. I don't think it's really been much of a factor yet for the players. In fact, the other day when the Cardinals were playing at Disney, Joe West was the home plate umpire, and after the first inning, he brought Mike and Freddie Gonzalez, the Braves manager, out and said, hey, you've got some guys kind of stepping out of the box, this and that. And Mike said that, but this really hasn't, you're the first one that's really brought this to our attention. So, and the other point.
This is popped up by Morse to Johnny Peralta battling the sun and the wind and makes the catch.
The other point that I thought was kind of interesting was that the clock starts at, 2:30. And there's been a few times when the pitchers waited for it to get down to zero.
I think we're seeing that more than the other way.
And that really, Mike said, is a violation. Anything when it hits 20, you've got the okay to go ahead and get the inning going. So the pitchers aren't maybe not quite sure what the rule is. But I think as spring goes along, I think we'll see some of that other pace of game stuff kind of come into play a little bit.
Yeah, what I like about that is really, even from the pitcher's point of view, it actually communicates to the pitcher when you're ready to come back. Because what we've seen over the last few years with the breaks getting longer, that pitchers don't go out to the mound right away, or they haven't been. So what it's doing now is it's saying, okay, you go out, we're going to tell you when to be ready instead of having to guess. We notice Adam Wainwright's a perfect example of a guy that will, when the third out is made, he sits in the dugout. He only needs 4 pitches. Why go out there for 3 minutes? And so it's, I think, an attempt to get the pitchers timed better with the break, which again will speed things up. I'm all for it.
A line out by Martin Prado to center field.
Yeah, to me, the time between innings is not as much of a factor. I think that, to me, if they just called strikes, called the strike zone, I think that would help the pace of game as much as anything.
Before we let you go, tell us what's happening at the website foxsportsmidwest.com and what you have daily.
We've got, well, I think today we're going to be looking at Peter Borges, who's already played in one game before he came out here today. And this weekend we've got a fun story coming up on the best athlete on the team, and I guarantee you it will be a surprise to you.
Come on, give me. Of hockey, we also have high school basketball. The championships presented by the Bommarito Automotive Group. Coming up, classes 1, 2, and 3. That's tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest Plus. We also have baseball tomorrow as the Cardinals take on the Minnesota Twins. Lefty, and he is reliable, never gets hurt. His name is Mike Dunn. He's a hard thrower, and he'll take over for Matt Latos.
Won 10 games out of the bullpen for the Marlins a year ago, and the Marlins last year a better team than they were 2 seasons ago, where they lost 100 games. So Redmond's club got better. They expect to get even better than that. And, of course, the bullpen is going to be a big part of that story. Can they be as good as they were a year ago? And Dunn got his job done, at least from the left side.
That's our Chevy call to the pen. And here is shortstop Johnny Peralta for the St. Louis Cardinals to start the 4th. Peralta is fly to right. The Cardinals with a pair of hits against Matt Latos today as he gets his work in. For his career, Mike Dunn has held lefties to a .220 average and righties not much better at .238. So he's been very, very good. Marlins with a run in the first and 3 in the second as Peralta pulls it foul, and quickly no balls and 2 strikes. You can read all the work of Stan McNeil and the rest of our crew at foxsportsmidwest.com. Stan also with a book coming up in late April. And talking about the great run the Cardinals have been on in recent history, but read his work currently at foxsportsmidwest.com. That pitch just missed inside.
When are you writing a book, Dan?
Never. Ever.
I'd buy it. I want you to know I'd buy it.
I could tell you this. There'd be some great stories in there.
Maybe you should not write a book.
Thank you, Rick, and that's why I'm not writing it. I don't need to write a book. Especially...
On second thought, I'm sorry I brought it up.
Especially if my poor mother is still alive. She doesn't want to read those stories.
Oh, she knows.
You know what? Unfortunately, you're probably right. Here's a 2-2 to Johnny Peralta. Jammed a bit and popped up. Dunn Directing traffic, and Saltalamacchia puts it away for out number 1. So Johnny is 0 for 2, and it brings in Matt Adams. Now, speaking of moms, you are such a good son. You met your mother down here for spring training. Took her to a few games.
Got to enjoy going to the game, just sitting there with my mom watching. Well, she watched hundreds of mine, so
yeah. That's got to be fun, though.
Oh, it really was. It was a blast to do it, and really enjoyed that time with her down here. And she was escaping the terrible weather of the Northeast that they'd been experiencing. But we were reminiscing about the time where she was on the air with you, Dan, and talk about a scary moment.
Not for her, but for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Could have told her some truths about her young little Ricky.
So when you said, well, Mrs. Horton, tell me really, what was he like when he was a kid? I shuddered.
That's great. And for the folks in the Northeast, man, it has been a tough winter. And where is she living now?
In about 2 hours north of New York City.
Oh, man. Snow and the cold just hasn't stopped.
Think about the Boston area in particular and how bad it's been. And, of course, it's been cold in the Midwest. And one of the great things about spring training, it reminds folks that are watching Cardinals baseball and listening to it on the radio that spring is right around the corner.
You bet. 2 balls and 1 strike on Matt Adams, who struck out but reached as a ball got away from Saltalamacchia, and he singles into right with a hard hit ball
against the lefty.
That really is the question right now with Matt Adams, isn't it? What can he do against left-handed pitching?
The catcher, number 4, Yankees.
And that'll be it for Matt Adams. His day is through. And that's just for you, Miss Horton. Anytime you want to come down and join us as the third person in the booth, you are welcome. Matter of fact, you could be just Rick's replacement.
That'd be fine.
Here's Yadier Molina, who hit into a double play his first time up, and he lines it into center. Drops in front of Ozuna for a base hit for Yadier Molina. So back-to-back hits.
That's Dean Anna, the pinch runner for Adams. Yachty with a base hit. I think everybody's going to be curious, Dan, and we'll just have to see how it plays out. What kind of player, or will Yadier be a different kind of player with the weight change that he's had? Will he have the same arm to second? Will he block balls differently? How about the power of Molina? Will he be quicker with his hands at the plate? Will you see more energy deeper into the season? All those things are question marks about Molina, and I think it's going to be fun to watch him play. Very, very different physique with all the work that he's done this offseason.
And it brings in Reynolds, who walked, stole the base, and then was thrown out at the plate on a base hit by Piscotty from Ichiro. I would say this: if it means that he's going to sacrifice, and we're talking about Molina, offense to keep him behind the plate,
it's worth it.
It's worth it in my mind.
I agree.
He's that important defensively. Last year was the first year in 7 seasons that he did not catch 1,000 innings. He has been, along with Miguel Montero, who's now with the Chicago Cubs, the 2 leaders in innings catched or caught in the National League.
Well, because he has a leaner physique does not mean he's weaker. I mean, there's work that's going along with this, and we've seen the arm strength still seems to be there, and whether or not that again affects power, he's not really a power guy anyway. Yachty's a guy that's going to hit some balls to right field and use the entire field. He does that as well as anybody.
And runners at first and second with 1 out, 2 balls and 1 strike on Mark Reynolds. Dean Anna is the runner at second base. Molina at first. A broken bat, and that'll be caught at short. So with 2 down, an opportunity now for Stephen Piscotty.
We talked, Dan, at the onset of the telecast about the opportunities the outfielders are getting today. Tommy Pham still haven't had word yet on the injury that he had diving for a ball down the left field line. He is out of the game and was replaced by Ty Kelly, but Piscotty had a base hit his first time up. And Peter Borges 0 for 1.
And the first pitch to Piscotty is taken for a ball up and away. Piscotty with a base hit to left. And Reynolds tried to score from second base and was thrown out by Ichiro from left. Big gap in right center for Stephen Piscotty. And the 1-0. Good cut.
Piscotty, Dan, had a good year last year, not a great year at AAA. And after what we saw in spring training, I think people were almost disappointed. But he hit 288, drove in nearly 70 runs. Not really necessarily a big power guy anyway, and a good defender in right. I think his spring was so good that I think everybody thought he'd go down and hit 340 in Memphis, and we'd see him in August, which didn't happen. But he's still high on the Cardinals prospect list.
Baseball America rates Piscotty as the Cardinals' best prospect to hit for average and the best outfield arm. When you start thinking about what he brings defensively too, he's a converted third baseman, and we saw that on display that gets overlooked. He had a couple of throws that were eye-popping last year in spring training.
He did.
Great arm.
And again, just 24.
That's the key. The story of today, though, the 27-year-old Tommy Pham getting hurt. We don't know the extent of the injury. We hope to get word before our telecast is through, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Just joining us, he was diving for a ball and left and had to leave the game. The 2-2. And Piscotty hits it to short. And a forced play at second base. The Cardinals strand 2. They have left 4 on today. We're midway through 4. 4-0. Marlins. See a game at Busch Stadium is with a group of your friends and family. Group tickets are on sale now, and groups of 25 or more receive incentives, and that includes a discount of up to 50% on certain dates off the gate price in most seating areas. Cardinals.com/groups. As for Justin Meyer, Dean Anna will take over at second base for the Cardinals. Carlos Villanueva is on the mound for his second inning. Scott Moore takes over at first, Matt Adams, and here is Jared Saltalamacchia. And a shift is on for Saltalamacchia as Moore, the first baseman you see pictured there, is about 2, maybe 3 steps away from the line. That's popped up and a long way to go with the shift, and it drops in. That's Wilson. Young prospect in the Cardinals system that can play short, can play second, and right now at third.
There's Wilson at the normal shortstop position, and the pull hitter Saltalamacchia gets jammed a bit, so it goes the other way. So didn't hang up long enough for Wilson, who, as you mentioned, has had a good spring. He actually, along with Tommy Pham, the most hits of any Cardinals in spring training so far.
Saltalamacchia takes a ball inside. There's a look at Wilson. Jarrett, a year ago, a switch hitter, hit just .220 in year 2 of a 3-year deal that he signed after winning the World Series with the Boston Red Sox against St. Louis. Popped 11 home runs, drove in 44 in their spacious ballpark. The 2-2 and a ground ball that's foul. We'll do it again. Carlos Villanueva. I was talking with him the other day, and you see it may be pronounced Villanueva, and he said nope, Villanueva is the right way to do it. He serves on the executive committee of the Players Association. He is bilingual. He is an interesting guy, well spoken, educated, and trying to help many of the young kids that are coming through make sure they don't get cheated as they come through a system, as we have heard some of the horror stories of kids from Venezuela or the Dominican and other areas that get to Major League Baseball, and it's not pretty.
Dan, years ago, the Players Association stepped forward and said, we're going to start licensing agents. There was a time where that wasn't even done. So you talk about a guy coming from a country doesn't speak the English language, can get just absolutely abused, and it happened all the time. But now agents are subjected to some kind of rigorous accountability, and it's a lot better. You see the good pitch from Villanueva, and he's an interesting guy for this team too, because he can both start and relieve. He's a guy that throws strikes a lot, and probably a little bit better out of the bullpen, and he could be a guy that's kind of the long guy out of the bullpen. He could serve that role. We saw Cal Eldred earlier, and we were looking for an excuse to talk about Cal Eldred. Well, there's another one. That role is kind of in disfavor now, but it's helpful to have a guy that can eat up innings.
And that's the bottom line. Is it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. There's Cal on Jeff Baker, trying to find guys to bridge the gap and getting you innings. There's out number 2. And the reality of it is to save your bullpen or to save your starters. And they're not glamorous innings, but man, over the course of a season, they are so important.
You happen to watch a game on TV during the season, or you're at the ballpark, that's the game you care about. So you're focused on that, and you see it through those lenses. But if you're a manager, you have to look at a season as kind of groups of games too. You have to be thinking bigger picture. If you win at every single game at all cost, you may be sacrificing that next day, especially when it comes to managing a bullpen. I think it's what a manager learns how to do is balance your bullpen so you're going to be effective over that entire series, maybe that road trip. You can't just use your best pitcher every single day. It doesn't work.
Reed Brignac at the plate. 1-ball, 1-strike. He tripled and picked up 3 RBIs first time up. I don't know about you, but to me, and there are so many important things that a manager does, but thinking about, there's a look at David Bell, who could help out Mike Matheny in terms of, okay, here's who's available, here's who I think you should look at. Those are so important decisions over the course of a season, and the point I'm making is how to manage your bullpen and just how tough that is at this level.
You have to rely on your pitching coach, no question about that, and that's Derek Lilliquist. He does a terrific job. Blaze Ilsley is the bullpen coach. You're going to get input from him as well, but your bench coach has to be lockstep with you, a step ahead of you in some ways in the right-hand unit.
Villanueva, good job. 6 up, 6 down for Mike Matheny's club. We head to the 5th on Fox Sports. home of Cardinals baseball throughout spring training and the regular season. Game 2 of 15 spring telecasts, and they were not done there. We've got Blues hockey tomorrow. The Blues and the Minnesota Wild. Vladimir Tarasenko and the Blues will be on display at 6:30 here on Fox Sports Midwest. A big win over the Flyers in a shootout last night. Blues racking up those points. It would be something if they could be #1 overall in the West. Not far-fetched. They're right there. Fun to watch. Entertaining team. This is the second inning for Mike Dunn, and he'll face the switch hitting Ty Kelly.
My first chance to watch Kelly hit right-handed, and it's interesting that his hands are very similar to the way they are left-handed. And that's not always the case. Often you'll have a kind of a different stance from the right side than you do from the left, but I would say he's a mirror image.
Back to Dunn, who fires, and there's the first out here in the 5th, and Ty Kelly is 0 for 2, filling in for the injured Tommy Pham. St. Louis Cardinals a year ago drawing $3.5 million through the turnstiles at Busch Stadium. Much of that success due to Joe Strom and his staff, who do such a great job. All the different promotional nights and discounted ways to take in a game. There's Tim Cooney, a left-hander who was very good a year ago in spring training and finished up at AAA Memphis. Strong season towards the back end, is getting loose, and he'll come in for Villanueva. Interesting to see what can happen here with Peter Borges, who's now 0 for 13 in spring training. Popped out his first time up. He's been asking for extra at-bats, and there it is. Finally gets that first hit, and he needed that. He's talked about the hip surgery that he had, Rick, and that he has had, limited motion with his hips and trying to hit the last couple of years. Now he has the surgery in October, and he said, instead of being behind everything, I feel like I'm out in front because I have mobility again.
Probably quicker than he has been.
Exactly.
And timing is such a big part of hitting, as you mentioned. He did get a hit this morning. Actually had a double in the B game that we talked about, as the Cardinals played the Marlins and featured some of their good, solid young prospects at the A-ball level. Rob Kaminsky pitched in that game. Jack Flaherty both pitched.
And here's the intriguing Jacob Wilson as Borges steals that easily. We'd love to see more of that too.
Well, that's probably hit related. If you're not feeling right, you're not getting on base, and then when you do, you're not feeling 100% there either. But there's the break from Borges, who can flat out fly.
I think the problem with Peter a year ago is injuries, and you can't steal first.
And nice that he didn't slide past the bag there. We saw him do that a couple of times last year.
So Jacob Wilson at the plate. Here's the 0-1. That ball taken inside, and we have learned a little bit more about Jacob Wilson as things have gone on. He's from Tennessee. He's 24 years old, can play all around the infield, and as you mentioned earlier, Rick, he's made an impression.
One of the things you love about baseball, too, we talk about it every year. You don't have to be 6'4", 240 to play this game. Baseball players come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and you can hit, run a little bit. You have good hands, good hand-eye coordination. You have a chance in this game.
2 balls and 1 strike. Borges, the runner at second base. Cardinals trailing 4-0 here in the top of the 5th. The next pitch by Dunn.
Think about sizes. The Cardinals' best young player is a name we don't know much about yet, but he had a couple of hits in that B game this morning. Magneuris Sierra, who was the minor league hitter of the year for the Cardinals. And again, he had a couple of hits, but he is very kind of thin and wiry, very different kind of baseball body. But a year ago, he was terrific at the A-ball level.
The 2-2. Line down the right field line, slicing foul and into the Cardinals bullpen.
We mentioned Wilson has good numbers And part of the ways you get good numbers is you use the entire field. He tries to drive that ball to right, off-speed pitch, outside, take it that way.
Always interesting to see how managers use what would be a part of their bullpen in a selective role in the regular season and how they use them in spring. And here's Mike Dunn in his second inning of work. More times than not, he's a one-inning guy. And pitch number 30 on its way, and that's on its way out to deep left field, and this ball is off the wall. Borges will score. It's a double for Jacob Wilson. Cardinals on the board, and that makes it 4-1.
Well, you get a couple of hits in spring training, and you think, wow, I can't believe I got to do that. All these big leaguers, and then you get more, and you start to act like you belong a little bit. You start to expect it. He's very confident at the plate. He tried to go to right, then he got a pitch in and drove it to left. He's sky high right now.
And here is Scott Moore. The pickoff and no throw.
There's the pitch. Turning on it, almost left the yard. We only have a half a club win today, Dan. It was a club win yesterday. The ball might have been out of here yesterday.
Yeah. One out, runner at second, and Moore is swing and a miss. Off to a slow start, hitting just 143 this spring. The Marlins a year ago were 77-85. They finished fourth in the National League East. And until Stanton went down, they felt they had a chance to potentially win the wild card. They improved from 62 wins the year before.
And we've mentioned a lot of the big names for the Marlins, but probably the biggest name of all we haven't talked about yet, the guy who's going to come back around the All-Star break, Jose Fernandez. And what could he do to this team? Think about it. They're hanging tough with the Nationals, and many are talking about the Mets being a better team with their good young pitching. And all of a sudden you throw a healthy Fernandez into that mix for the second half.
Watch out.
You bet.
1-1 pitch. Inside. They have Jose Fernandez potentially at some point this year. Henderson Alvarez, Jared Cozart, who they picked up, David Phelps from the Yankees. They picked up from the Dodgers Dan Herron, who apparently is going to stick. So some good young live arms and not an old staff at all. The 2-1 tap foul, and it's 2-2.
Tom Kohler was a 10-game winner a year ago for this team.
At 28, he could wind up being their oldest pitcher in the rotation. Tom Kohler at 28. Here's a 2-2. And Moore is swing and a miss. So with 2 outs, it'll bring in Johnny Peralta's spot, which is now occupied by Pete Kozma. And another one of those players that is out of options, and you look at the lack of depth, in particular at shortstop, behind Johnny Peralta. You would think it gives Pete Kozma a pretty good edge heading out of spring training.
He really has been kind of the perfect utility guy because he plays a lot of positions, runs well, throws well. Doesn't come up with a hit there, however.
So the Cardinals strand a runner, but Jacob Wilson, an RBI double to get the Cardinals on the board midway through 5. opener to inside Roger Dean Stadium, and our Chevy Colt to the pen as Tim Cooney takes over, a lefty for the St. Louis Cardinals. Ed Easley is the new catcher, so a new battery for St. Louis. And the Cardinals trail by the score of 4-1 here in the bottom of 5. Top of the lineup, and D. Gordon for the Miami Marlins, and he slaps it the other way for a leadoff base hit. And Gordon is 2 for 3 with a run scored.
If there was a time you could slap the bat out of the hands of D. Gordon, he just didn't have a really good approach offensively, but I think he's got a chance of being a really good player in Miami. Of course, his speed hurts. They have him at top of the lineup. DHing today. Be interesting to see how he is as an everyday defender at the big league level.
Now it's Ichiro Suzuki. You know, last year the Marlins used 7 different players at second base, and D. Gordon is penciled in as the everyday second baseman. He loved Maury Wills when he was with the Dodgers, and you think about base stealing, and now he gets a guy, as we talked about earlier, and Brett Butler, who's his third base coach, who knows a thing or two about that.
Cardinals, of course, have Lou Brock to help in that area. But Maury Wills was quite a base stealer in his own right.
There he goes, easily to second, and they got him. That's a guy that led the National League in steals a year ago. And Juan Pierre was 64, and Ed Easley guns him down.
That throw was right on the money. I didn't think the release was that quick from Easley, but the throw sure was right on time. There's the break. Cooney holds him long enough to allow that to happen. There's Cosmo on the tag.
And Ichiro sends one in the air. And now coming in a step or two is Pete Cosmo.
Dan, you and I talk a lot about the players that we spend time with on the Cardinal Caravans. And I think the reason that's important to us is you really get to know guys. And I was with Tim Cooney this past winter for a few days, and he was terrific with the fans. He was got a really kind of solid, kind of a quiet guy, but really kind of a solid approach to things. And a year ago, we got really good experience at the AAA level. Was a workhorse there, and I think at some point he's going to be in the Cardinal rotation. Standout pitcher from Wake Forest. At a game last year in spring training where I believe he had 5 strikeouts in 2 innings. And Red Schoendienst made the comment, when did we get Sandy Koufax on our team?
2 balls and no strikes. Cooney went 14-6 last year at Memphis. And I asked him the other day, as he finished up last season on a high note, I said, what was it at the end of the year that you were doing differently? And he said, I have learned that if I'm going to make it at this level, the major league level, I have got to pound the strike zones, the strike zone with fastballs and control the strike zone with number 1. And if I can't do that, it's going to be some long nights and long games for him. But controlling the strike zone with a fastball.
100% true. Doesn't matter whether you're a starter or reliever. The fastball sets up everything else. He's a guy that does have good off-speed pitches, has a good breaking ball, doesn't throw particularly hard. But all the more important, I think, the aspect of throwing fastballs for strikes. If you're not doing that, the other pitches they just spit on, and they won't even.
And that was his point.
Won't even make an effort to swing at. So Cooney learning a good lesson, I would say, a year ago.
His second team All ACC his sophomore year. Then was All Conference junior year. That's ripped, but foul off the bat of Giancarlo Stanton. But 14 wins for Cooney. That was tops in the Pacific Coast League. A total which was 1 more win than his first 2 seasons combined in pro ball. The 3-2. Stanton to short. Cosma up with it. And Tim Cooney has scored this inning. That'll send us to the 6th inning. From Roger Dean Stadium, Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Tradition with 3 great ring giveaways, including the 85 National League Championship ring, the 82 and 67 World Championship rings. It's always a popular giveaway. They are wearable, the replica championship rings, and it's all coming up this season. This year we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the 1985 team, one of the great teams in my mind in Cardinals history. And you were a part of it, Rick, and 82 was great. That was a World Series year. 87 was great. Cardinals went to the World Series, but there was just something about 1985 that was special.
Yeah, I think it was the speed that team brought with Vince Coleman breaking on the scene, and of course Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee. Willie having such a big year that year. MVP hit over 350, and saw Willie down here at spring training a couple of days ago, and he loves coaching, by the way. When you're around Willie and he's around young players, he transforms a bit. I mean, I wasn't sure whether coaching would be his thing, but it is.
That's great.
And
Love it.
That team, of course, Jack Clark providing the power, and Danny Cox and John Tudor and Joaquin Andujar providing most of the innings. From a pitching standpoint, really a fun team, and give Whitey Herzog, of course, a lot of credit for pulling that all together.
This is Dean Anna against Aaron Crow, and Anna hits it on a hop to second base. Aaron Crow, the former Kansas City Royal, former Missouri Tiger product. And he gets the first man here in the 6th inning. How about that shot? We spare no expense.
Well, I took this shot yesterday. A little dangerous, but I just thought it was worth it for our broadcast.
That was over your camera phone too, right?
It was.
Very nice. How much did you pay the
Those are my
Pelicans?
friends. I named the guy on the left Al, and the guy on the right Dan.
You had to go there. Easily chops it to short. It was too easy. It was set up for you. 2 down.
You mentioned Crow going to the University of Missouri, and we were talking about caravans. Well, we had one player on our caravan at our Mizzou stop, where we were interviewed at halftime. So in the middle of the court was Trevor Rosenthal and Tim Cooney, and one Sam Freeman.
From the University of Kansas.
Correct.
Ouch.
Under his breath, while he's smiling and waving, he's saying "Rock Chalk Jayhawk."
Good for Sam.
It was funny.
Good for Sam, who might be the best athlete on this team. It's also a very, and we haven't seen him, it's been a good spring, but a very big spring for him coming up as well, with the left-handed depth that the Cardinals have in their bullpen. There aren't many guys falling off trees that throw left-handed, that throw 96 to 97 miles an hour.
That's right.
And he's one of them.
And his command improved a year ago, and if you have a healthy Kevin Segrist along with the specialist Randy Choate, I think you've got a chance to have 3 left-handers in your bullpen, which I think would be a valuable thing to have.
We haven't even talked about Marco Gonzalez and where, you know, his immediate future may be, and Jaime Garcia, who pitched here yesterday. This is Cody Stanley at the plate.
Well, there's a fact in baseball that happens every year for every team. You think you have too much pitching, and then you turn around the next day and you don't have enough.
Yep. Somebody gets hurt.
Somebody gets hurt. Somebody underperforms.
And Stanley draws the 2-out walk. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, huh? Sam was married over the offseason. And what I really enjoy about being around Sam Freeman, as Stephen Piscotty digs in, is that he wants to become a student of the history of the game. He reads a ton of books on the history of baseball, and when he reads them, Rick, he takes notes. He's got a notebook of all the different books that he's read. Just a very neat guy. As Piscotty shoots it foul. And it doesn't hurt when you throw 96.
Yeah, he too was good with the fans. And Trevor Rosenthal, I think, came out of his shell a little bit too. He became almost the leader of that caravan. And Trevor's going to be important to the kind of the destiny of this 2015 Cardinals team. You know, can he repeat the kind of year he did a year ago with a number of saves? Can he kind of improve his command of the strike zone? He's on the list to maybe pitch here today. We'll see if we do see Trevor before it's over.
Wynn playing tricks on that baseball, and it drops in for a hit. Stephen Piscotty says thank you very much. Stanley winds up at third, and the tying run will come to the plate. What should have been, you would think, a routine fly ball in right, and the win is picked up here, Roger Dean.
Well, we've talked about the competition with the outfielder. Sometimes as you compete, you get a little gift. And 2-hit day for Piscotty, but not his best at bat, but the result is there. And so sometimes you can take a little bit of that luck.
And the third plate appearance for Ty Kelly. If you're just joining us, maybe getting home from work or whatever the case may be back in St. Louis, Ty Kelly started on the bench and has come in for the injured Tommy Pham. Pham went diving for a ball and left, and not come back in this game. And it was in the third inning, and this would score 3.
Here's the play down the left field line. Pham lays out to try to help out the starter today, Zach Petrick. And when he stood up, all of a sudden the knee, we think, was bothering him. Still waiting on words from the Cardinal trainers about his condition, but he had to leave the ball game, and very, very tough to see.
I was also thinking maybe, and again, you hate to speculate.
Right, exactly. It's just a guess.
You know.
Well, he was limping. Let's put it that way.
Right, so it's lower body, but the quad, knee, whatever the case may be. Bottom line, he's been injured a bunch, and let's hope he's all right and gets back healthy and into action. 1-2 the count. Been some talk with the Marlins that Crow would have a chance to be a starter eventually. Primarily has worked out of the bullpen in his major league career. He has been a starter before. As Kelly just got a piece. Kelly, a switch hitter, struck out first time up. That was back in the third. And then from the other side of the plate, the right side, grounded back to the pitcher, Mike Dunn, who was into the ball game for innings 4 and 5. Big gap in right center. Outfield is shallow. Runners at first and third. And Kelly shoots the gap in right center. A run will score. And Piscotty on his way to third. So Ty Kelly comes through and cuts into this lead. It's now 4-2 Miami.
Well, for Aaron Crow, that's why you don't walk hitters with 2 outs. Gave the Cardinals a chance, extended the inning, a little blue hit down the right field line, kept it going, and then a pitch up in the zone that Kelly drives into center field, and you think you're already done with the inning, and now you're still working and a couple runners aboard. As a reliever, you flat out cannot walk hitters, Dan.
And Ty Kelly makes him pay. And now it's Peter Borges, who is asking for more at-bats, and he's gotten that today, playing in a doubleheader. And the last time up, a single to center and stole second base. And came around to score on a double by Jacob Wilson. At that time, the lone run for St. Louis, and now they've made it a 4-2 game. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Borges. He also was married this offseason. Had the surgery in October on the hip. I'm not sure we've ever seen Peter Borges fully healthy.
Well, there were times a year ago where it seemed as if he was just sliding around with his feet. Very uncomfortable with his lower half, which we now understand a little better with the hip problem.
And he chops it to third, and the Cardinals will strand 2, but they pick up a run. Ty Kelly with the RBI base hit with 2 outs. Over midway through 6. Marlins on top 4-2.
of the 6th inning. The Cardinals have tightened up the game a bit. 4-2 Marlins. As Peter Borges trying to distinguish himself here today, playing in his 2nd game. We mentioned he played in the B game this morning, had a hit there. He's also contributed in this game. And Tim Cooney back for his 2nd inning of work. And it's a swing and a miss by Michael Morse. Morse, Prado, and Ozuna. 4, 5, and 6 for the Marlins here this afternoon, who basically played with their A lineup. Cooney had a scoreless 5th inning. Leadoff base hit by D. Gordon. He was caught stealing by the catcher Easley. Late swing and a foul by Morse. 1-2. Cooney throws about 90-91. Good curveball and a changeup. And there's a curveball and a beauty. It just misses that inside corner. It's been a tight zone here this afternoon. And the count evens at 2.
Trying to get you into mid-season form and get a little play-by-play, Mr. Horton.
I thought you'd gone home.
No. Steve Cishek, who is the closer for the Marlins. You wouldn't think of him being a closer, but he's a good one. He's had some pretty good numbers the last couple of years.
Was that nasty delivery. Throws very hard from that sidearm delivery.
And Morse chops it towards short. Pete Kozma makes the play. So with 1 out, it brings in Martin Prado. Second inning of work by the lefty Tim Cooney, and the first pitch to Martin Prado is taken for a ball. The Marlins not only went out, Rick, and said we're going to spend money on players, which they have done, and we've seen that plenty of times in the past. I'm sure their fans are saying it's a wait and see, and I don't blame them. They also invested in 2 chefs. That's right, two chefs, and their own private jet. And the idea behind the jet is that they have to travel just about as much as any other team in the big leagues outside of Seattle.
Seattle's the worst.
And they said, well, we want to make our players comfortable. David Sampson, the president, said our investment is in these players. So if we can give them comfort and it's going to cost us more money, maybe it saves us money in the long run by giving guys comfort to stay on the field. And Cooney picks up his first strikeout of the day. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. You think about it in those terms, it makes some sense, doesn't it?
Well, when you're thinking about what the team does when they win in terms of the added revenue, if you can find any edge possible to make your team better, win more revenue. And I think Miami, I don't think they've had a spending problem as much as they've had a revenue problem. You lose 100 games a couple years ago. They've got a new stadium. People were excited about that, but you fill the stadium when your team wins. If you're just there to watch Stanton bat, that's not enough.
Marcell Ozuna just got a piece to stay alive, and Cooney looks sharp here in the second inning.
Most teams have invested in chefs, and they've invested in higher level trainers, not just trainers, strength trainers, to make sure these guys are as in good a shape as they could possibly be in for the long haul of a season. And not just kind of muscle strength, but muscle endurance. I think that becomes more important for a player.
Isn't that the key, the endurance?
Yeah, no question about it.
The long year. And the 1-2 pitch by Ozuna. Swing and a miss, and it's back-to-back strikeouts for Tim Cooney. Nicely done. Cardinals also have invested in a couple of chefs. firework right out of there. Right next to the Cardinals complex here at Roger Dean Stadium. Is brought to you by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Quality, reliability, and value. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. And by Hyundai. It's always a fan favorite. That's the bobbleheads, and we have a bunch coming up this season at the ballpark. 7 bobblehead giveaways, including Yadier Molina, Matt Carpenter, Ozzie Smith, Lou Brock, and more. Get your tickets through one of the 5 or 10 game promotional packs or as a single game ticket. It's on sale now at Cardinals.com as Cishek, the closer for Miami, takes over as we play here in the 7th inning. Here's Jacob Wilson, who has an RBI double today. Cishek a year ago, a former 5th-round pick, struck out 84 in 65 and a third innings, and he had a career-high 39 saves last year. This is where he can be very tough on right-handed batters, just like that. Drops down, he would be your equivalent to an extent of Randy Choate from the other side.
A little more velocity, and he's also a little younger, and you know, he's actually a tall guy too at 6'6", and you know, you think about tall pitchers normally wanting to use their leverage and throw downhill as an advantage, but in his case he's found a way to use that kind of whippy arm action from the side and just really hides the ball well. Hitters don't see it. Most guys that throw from that arm angle have trouble with left-handed batters.
We'll see here with Scott Moore. And for those at home wondering why they would have trouble with left-handed batters, what's the reason?
Well, all the deception that I talked about from this delivery from the right-hander Cishek is going to affect the right-handed hitter because they don't see the ball at all. But a lefty, because the arm slot is from the opposite side, they can see it out of the hand much easier. It's not behind them. But for a right-handed batter, if you throw a slider as sharp as Cishek can throw it from that angle, it's virtually impossible to hit.
4-2 Miami as we play here in the top of the 7th. And the 2-1 to Moore. That tails in and catches the outside corner to the surprise of Scott Moore, and it's 2-2. They have Cishek, A.J. Ramos. They signed him. We've seen Aaron Crow, and Moore hits a fly ball into center field for out number 2. He's 0 for 2 today. Mike Dunn and Carter Capps, a hard thrower, all could be part of this bullpen this year for Miami. What's on tap? It's the Minnesota Twins. Back-to-back games with the Twins. It will come your way tomorrow at noon. Our Budweiser What's on Tap. We call that a split broadcast, and the reason why is that you'll hear the voice of Rick Horton, who will represent the Cardinals in Fox Sports Midwest, and then the play-by-play, and I believe also a Hall of Famer will be a part of that broadcast tomorrow, too.
Well, I'll be with Dick Bremer tomorrow, and it'll be with Bremer and Blyleven on Sunday as we travel to Fort Myers. And the Twins will be an interesting team. They've had leadership change there. Gardenhire has been there forever. And they've got some good, talented young players, but they've got a long way to go. But it'll be fun to get a chance to have a little sneak preview of the Minnesota Twins, who the Cardinals will play this year.
They have two of the top prospects in all of Major League Baseball, and I'm sure you'll see them at one point or another, a third baseman and an outfielder that are outstanding players but have been plagued by injuries the last couple of years, as Pete Kozma looks at a pitch that's upstairs, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. So tomorrow Rick will be with that group, and as well on Sunday, and I'll be back with Rick on Monday. So I get the weekend off.
Watch out.
Watch out. Get the suntan lotion out. I'll be out in the stands watching Cardinal baseball. Chopped up the middle, and a base hit for Pete Kozma.
Every at-bat matters in spring training when you're trying to make a team and trying to impress. And that's a good at-bat for Kozma against the guy that, he's the kind of guy that Kozma would have to face if you're coming off the bench as a pinch hitter. And we don't talk about it enough. You know how hard that is to come in cold against their best? That's what happens if you're a pinch hitter. You can hit 250 off the bench, you're doing something. And for Kozma to get that kind of at-bat against Cishek is impressive.
Here is Dean Anna. So Kozma is your runner at first with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Cishek, we talk about deception. Jordan Walden has that as well for the Cardinals. He was part of the Chase and Hayward deal, and will, looks like, see him coming up next inning. He's warming up in the Cardinals' pen.
I want to know when we're going to see Will Ferrell.
How about that? 9 positions in a day out in Arizona for Will Ferrell, raising money for Strikeout for Cancer.
For those that missed that report yesterday, it was fun to watch that, wasn't it?
It was. He's one of the great characters.
Oh, my goodness.
And it seems like all the teams and the players got behind it, and it was something that they supported too. As Anna shoots it just foul.
I can't imagine, Dan, a sport where that would work better than the sport of baseball. I think baseball is a sport that, of course, we have our serious moments, but you've had guys that have been pretty funny in this game over the years. In fact, when you come to the fantasy camp, there's 3 or 4 that I'm going to say are as funny as Will Ferrell at times.
Yes.
And
unfortunately coming at my expense.
Well,
but it's good.
Whatever it takes. But it is a game that lends itself, I think, to having its lighter moments.
I would say this too. It's a game, and I mean this sincerely, that you can, to an extent, hide Will Ferrell. The ball may not be hitting the right field. If you put him out in a football game, he'd get trucked. If you did it in basketball, there's no chance.
Well, that's true.
So you can hide him a little bit and still have some fun with it.
Well, he played every position. I noticed he was playing right field. The ball was hit over his head. It was a home run, in fact. And he actually was coaching third base at one point. And that's the funniest part for me. For those who've not seen the video of that,
these games don't matter.
Well, and then he called the hitter out to third base and yelled at him. It was funny. It was great.
CJ strikes out Dean Anna. Time to stretch. It's 4-2. It's a great way to come to the ballpark throughout the season. There are so many of these various games and dates throughout the year. All you have to do is head to cardinals.com/values. So make sure you take in the savings with fan-friendly values. Big guy, 6'5", 250-pound right-hander Jordan Walton, who is part of the deal with Tyrell Jenkins and Shelby Miller, along with Jason Hayward. Really an overlooked part of this deal, right? And could be your setup man in 2015, if not get a save or two.
Very important to this Cardinals bullpen. You think about the job that Pat Neshek did a year ago, and the Cardinals do not have him, so there's a hole to fill. Neshek really became an all-star for the Cardinals, and Walden at one time an all-star in the American League when he was with the Angels. Had 32 saves for Mike Scioscia one season, and pitched in Atlanta last year and was very good. Throws hard and has a very interesting delivery to go with it. Kind of an odd movement that he makes with his plant leg, his left leg, sorry, his right leg. It's not really on the ground. It kind of comes off the rubber, throws off that stiff front leg, but he's almost in midair when he releases the ball.
Exactly. The 1-1 pitch, fouled back by Saltalamacchia. A real key for Jordan Walton is if he can throw strikes. Last year, 27 walks in 50 innings. The year before, he had 14 walks in 47 innings. If he throws strikes, opponents usually don't hit well against him. They hit just 186 a season ago, and there's a strikeout for Jordan Walton. And that's how we start the home half of the 7th. Watch the feet here of Jordan Walton.
Upper body is pretty normal, but we're going to focus on the feet. When he picks up that front leg, the left leg, the back leg, normally you push off the rubber and you stay in contact with the rubber, but before the foot hits the ground, he loses contact with the rubber and actually turns his foot over and throws off that stiff front leg, which is very unusual. You wouldn't teach it. But I think at this point in his career and in his life, you wouldn't want to unteach it either. It's his natural delivery.
Jeff Baker grounds it to third, backhanded, and a long throw across the diamond to Scott Moore for out number 2.
And Dan, I would think that would create some timing issues for the hitter because they're just not used to kind of what that looks like. I mean, you're supposed to be focused on the ball if you're a hitter, not the pitcher's feet. But I think his delivery's a little bit maybe mistimed in a way because of the way he throws in midair.
It's not Pat Neshek. However, it is deception.
Right.
Pat Neshek, by the way, signed a 2-year deal with Houston, and the Cardinals definitely will miss that 1.87 ERA out of the bullpen as Brignac hits it out of play, and there's 2 down for Jordan Walton and the Cardinals. Rob Nen, you may remember him, the former closer with the Giants and the Marlins, among others, but he had a little bit of that deception, if you will, that Walton has. Jumps at the hitter a little bit, and as you said, you wouldn't teach it. He was asked about this the other day. However, he said, I'm not changing.
Right.
It's got me this far. I'm staying with it.
Boy, was Nen good for a 2 or 3 year period.
Nasty. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a good changeup.
But what he also kind of gives you, because he has the closer experience, he gives you kind of another option. And so do you have to have Trevor Rosenthal every day? Can you space out his work a little bit more and keep him fresher, especially early in the season?
Here's a 1-2.
And frankly, one of the things I've learned, Dan, is when you're on a team that wins a lot, you really better have 2 closers because you don't want your closer out there every single day. And what happened last year, the Cardinals had a string early on where they won a lot of games. And so we saw Trevor Rosenthal pitch 4 out of 5 days, 5 out of 6 days. And you'd like to have another closer type guy, or at least a guy that has the experience. If you're going to win a lot, you really need an A and a B closer in my mind.
And I think Mike Matheny knows that. I think that it's something that they're thinking about and conscious of in terms of the innings and the workload for Trevor Rosenthal. There's a walk to Brignac. Some of the other players that have moved on from the Cardinals, Jason Mott, he signed a 1-year deal with the Cubs. Gave up 7 home runs in 25 innings coming back from Tommy John. The aforementioned Matt Neshek. Daniel Descalso, a 2-year deal with Colorado. But over 300 his average was in postseason play. And just to put it in perspective, Descalso, Matt Neshek had appeared in 61 postseason games for the Cardinals. You cannot replace that type of experience. Justin Masterson signed a 1-year deal with Boston at an ERA over 7 in 9 games. And then Shelby Miller was traded to the Atlanta Braves. Derek Dietrich, who's hitting 125 with a home run and an RBI, digs in for the first time today.
One thing I like about Walden's delivery is it's very downhill. And I think we talk about a pitcher, and Cishek would be the opposite, a guy that throws kind of from the side. But what we're seeing from Walden is a guy that really gets on top and throws downhill, and that kind of that downhill trajectory is very difficult for a hitter to pick up the entire baseball. What you end up doing is you end up seeing about half of the ball. So there's the awkward, odd delivery, but it's still downhill. And his arm gets way up and he throws down. He's tall enough to kind of create that deception. He's 6'5", and he's using that to his advantage.
A 2-1. A fly ball into left field. That ball is carrying, and it is off the wall. A run will score to make it 5-2. Wind aided, no question about that, as Romero scores, and it's now 5-2 Miami. The wind was blowing in from center towards, let's say, first base or the Cardinals dugout. Now it is blowing hard out to left.
I think Kelly thought he was going to catch this ball easily, and then he had to get moving, and he didn't come close to catching it. It was over his head in a hurry. Got a little jet stream there towards left field.
We had rain earlier. The wind has been swirling here at the ballpark. That's what you get in spring training action. So 2 outs and a runner at second base. We play here in the bottom of the 7th. And a breaking ball is taken low. Cole Gillespie is your hitter. Blocked by Easley. 2 balls and no strikes.
Getting very close, Dan, to the Cardinals maybe making their first round of cuts to the minor league complex. The minor leaguers started yesterday in full force, so they're all out there, and that's normally around the time where you start making moves with players. I suspect that to happen within the next 24 hours or so.
The high throw, but Moore stays on the bat. Walton gives up a run. Marlins add to their lead. It's 5-2. Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. It's turned out to be a gorgeous afternoon here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Glad that you're with us. Game number 2 of 15 this spring on Fox Sports Midwest. As Ramos, A.J. Ramos, will take over for Miami out of their pen. Gave up only 36 hits in 64 innings and was 7-0 out of the pen a year ago. Here's Ed Easley. So as we go along in this spring training, Rick, we're talking about the potential of guys that may be sent to the minor leagues. Let's advance the story a little bit for our fans at home and throughout the Midwest. As Easley hits it in the air down the right field line and out of play. The biggest competition, where are those spots you think at this point right now?
Well, there's always competition on the pitching side because you're trying to figure out 5 starters out of maybe 5 or 6 or 6 or 7, I should say, options. I think for the Cardinals, you've got the outfield spots we've been talking about that are kind of up for grabs a bit. Randall Grichuk's had a good spring. You know, who's the 4th outfielder? Who's the 5th outfielder? Peter Borges is kind of the incumbent. We haven't seen John Jay yet in games, but he's on track after offseason wrist surgery to be ready to go. So you assume it's going to be Jay and Holiday and Hayward in the outfield, but do you go with 5 outfielders? Do you add an extra one? How many infielders do you need? I think catching is pretty straight with the Cardinals, that it's Tony Cruz who's having a good spring and Yachty, but that bench is, I'd say, got some question marks. Mark Reynolds for sure will be on it. We saw his power on display yesterday. But you've got Cosma, Anna, Kelly, Pham, Garcia as options for those extra spots.
And reports are about Tommy Pham, if you just joined us, as Easley strikes out. It is a strained left quad. And the news is good in terms of how much time he'll miss. Apparently it'll only be a couple of days, and I'm not sure there is a bigger spring training for anybody else outside of Tommy Pham. It is huge for him.
Well, and if all those reports are right that we're reading on Twitter, then I think that's good news that it's not something worse.
And a base hit for Cody Stanley. 1-out hit to start the Cardinals in a potential rally here in the top of the 8th off of A.J. Ramos. Randall Grichuk will be the pinch hitter, and here's one of the players that we're talking about. And you ask yourself this question: is Grichuk better served playing every day at AAA, or is he better served coming off the bench and being a power guy? Because you assume all 3 outfield spots are taken. So it's a bench spot for Randall Grichuk. Is he better served than starting with the big club and maybe curtailing that progress to an extent by coming off the bench?
I think I like the idea of him being with the big league club and getting at bats against left-handed pitching. I think that there's going to be a time where you're going to maybe, you expect John Jay and Jason Hayward to play most days, but you can't play every day. And you pick certain spots with lefties and give Grichuk a chance. He can play either center or right, and he plays them well. He's a good defender, and I think he's maybe your 3A starter in the outfield, maybe. And you'll find enough at bats with him with double switches, I think, to keep him at the big league level. I'd like to see him there.
Combined in the regular season to hit 28 home runs, hit 25 at Memphis, 3 with the big club, and then added a couple of more in postseason play.
Dan, if he was 19 years old or 20 years old, I'd agree with you. But I think he's past that a bit. I think he's shown that he can play and compete at the big league level. I think his next level is to stop maybe the strikeouts a bit. Too many swings and misses a year ago. Become more of a contact guy and have a better kind of feel for not chasing.
He'll turn 24 on the 13th of August.
Still young, but I think ready.
No doubting his power. I mean, he's got it.
Well, and that's what you like. I watched him at batting practice yesterday. He was standing there with Jim Palmer.
It's unbelievable.
He said Well, you could see how he gets power from his lower part of his body, and that's where it comes from. He's not a big guy, but he's very, very firm with his base, lower half, strong, and quick with his hands.
I think we overlooked the fact that he's got the power, but he also has won a Gold Glove in the minor leagues. He did that 2 years ago and could play all 3 outfield positions. So that adds to his versatility and a chance to play. Very good defensive player. 3-2 pitch with 1 out and a runner at first. And it's popped up. Wynn playing tricks on this one too. So Grichuk retired. And it brings in Ty Kelly with 2 down. And the Cardinals down by 3. Ty Kelly with an RBI base hit back in the 6th. He's grounded out. He's also struck out and looks at a ball low. Natural infielder, but filling in for Tommy Pham in left.
So, Dan, I noticed that Kelly took that first pitch low and away, and now that second pitch low and away, but has kept 1 foot in the box. That's the reality of what we're going to be looking for. Players can't just kind of walk around after a pitch unless you fouled it off or something happens. Stolen base, you have to stay in the box. And there again, takes a strike. Left foot still in the box. Right foot's out. Got to get ready to hit. So far, that hasn't been an issue with players. I haven't really seen it disrupt anything. And really, it's the way the rule was initially. They're just enforcing it more.
3-1. Kelly now with his 3rd organization. He began with Baltimore, then with Seattle, comes over to St. Louis. He'll turn 27 in mid-July. Acquired from Seattle for Sam Gaviglio, right-handed pitcher the Cardinals had. You know, there's one thing about taking pitches, and then there's another one when you take pitches and hitters count. So we've already seen him do that in a couple days we've been doing games.
Well, he hasn't swung it yet. It's 3-2. I'm going to be very interested, Dan, when the fines start coming out in baseball, whether they'll be public. I think that's a interesting question. There are times where fines aren't really disclosed for players that are not ready in the box, or pitchers are not ready to pitch. And there's a grievance process in baseball too, and you wonder how that's going to work out.
I think most players are on board with the rules.
Yeah.
And most believe it doesn't really affect them anyway. Some it will. The 3-2 again taken low, so Kelly is aboard.
Well, Tony Clark is on record as saying, and he represents the players for the Players Union, and he's on record as saying that these minor rules are things that we've agreed to, and we think it's better to help with the pace of play and to help really the overall game. But we need to do these things so we don't have to kind of take some giant leap towards a clock in general in baseball, which I think would be a bad idea, and Tony agrees with that. And the idea is, let's do the little things right here to speed it up a little bit, but let's not give any reason to have to go to a macro adjustment.
2 outs, 2 on. Peter Borges at the plate, represents the tying run. Borges has singled today, also flied out, and he chops it to 3rd, and the threat is through for St. Louis. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Marlins on top on Fox Sports Midwest. It's 5-2. than ever. Every Tuesday during the regular season, fans can purchase a special day ticket and get an exclusive bobblehead from the 1985 National League champion Cardinals. Also get a VIP ticket to an autograph and bobblehead session. And for full details, just visit cardinals.com/budbash. Cardinals closer with the clock on him, Trevor Rosenthal, is ready to roll. And so are we here for the bottom of the 8th.
Again, the pitcher has to be ready with 20 seconds left on that clock and deliver it sometime within those 20 seconds. Doesn't have to be kind of right away, but you have to be on the mound, ready to go. Hitter has to be in the box, ready to go, and Rosenthal is ready to go.
Rosenthal, a year ago, Cardinals closer, 45 saves, second in the National League, fourth in Major League Baseball. Valdespin, the switch hitter, bunts to Rosenthal, and there's one away. I can tell you this, in watching Trevor a couple of times on the side, the velocity that we wondered about at times last year, especially when, as you were talking about, he would go, let's say, 3 days in a row, and you know, we came accustomed to watching 97 to 100. Well, it's back. He's been throwing very hard this spring.
And I care about the velocity of Rosenthal, because when you're in that spot and you're throwing 98, you're just on another level. But I care more about a consistent, smooth delivery from Rosenthal. So he's throwing strikes, and he's not 2-0, 3-0, not walking the first batter he faced. You know, I'm a big fan of Trevor Rosenthal, and I think he was critical last year to the Cardinals' success. But I think there were too many times where the first batter he faced, he let get on base. In fact, a high percentage of first batters reach base, either via a walk or a hit. So come out kind of pounding that strike zone. Nice, smooth delivery, and use your off-speed pitch as well.
Talk that Trevor would ditch the windup with nobody on and just exclusively work from the stretch, as he's doing here, to simplify those mechanics that you're talking about. No balls and 2 strikes, and the hitter is Donovan Solano, used to be property of the Cardinals. And he's hit by the pitch on an 0-2.
Just about to say that the delivery of Rosenthal seems to be slower and smoother, and then he rushed that one. You could see him jump at the plate, and his body was out in front of his arm. His arm dragged a little bit, and the ball was inside. Now, that's a very small thing, but that, I think, is what Derek Lilliquist is trying to get him to do. Just be a little more, I don't want to say deliberate to the plate, but just don't be in a hurry with your body.
Here's Miguel Rojas, and that scoots through the catcher easily into the backstop. And Solano finds himself in scoring position. Rosenthal is certainly a strikeout pitcher. 195 strikeouts over the past 2 seasons. That's 4th best in all of baseball. Davis, the closer of Kansas City, at 223. We know about Chapman in Cincinnati. He's at 218, and Jansen of the Dodgers at 212. '70 appearances last year, and a balk is called against Rosenthal. I guess what concerns you a little bit, Rick, and now the infield is in. He's had 146 games that he's pitched in, and did he balk here? Well, there's a slight movement towards the plate. Cosma looks back the runner at third. And those 146 games, that's 6th most among all relievers in Major League Baseball. You just don't usually have that with a closer and a power pitcher like he is.
Yeah, and he throws hard enough where you'd think that throwing strikes, he wouldn't be afraid to do that. And he's not afraid, but you don't want to see him nibble at all. And you're a closer, you got to do all the little things right. This inning, he's had a hit by pitch with 2 strikes, threw a wild pitch, and balked this inning. All things you want your closer not to do. But you sure want him to throw 98.
That helps.
Which he does do.
Rosenthal is now wearing number 44, and some of the numbers have changed after the tragic death of Oscar Taveras. There's a base hit into right field. That will make it 6-2 Miami. Rosenthal is wearing number 44. Martinez used to wear that number. Is now wearing number 18.
Hey, Reed Johnson's a nice guy to have in your team. Not really a frontline player necessarily. He started before at the big league level, but he's a good hitter.
Mike Matheny switched his number to number 26, as that was formerly occupied by Rosenthal. And Matheny goes to number 26 from number 22, and that's now worn by Jason Hayward. Sean Glanville played sports with Matheny's oldest son when they were kids, and when he was 12, he was in an accident, suffered a traumatic brain injury. It was a car accident. The family was told he had 1% chance of surviving, that he may not make it through the night. He did, live for 7.5 years, and Sean Glanville Traumatic Brain Injury Foundation is why Mike Matheny wears that number. And again, it's number 26 for Mike this year. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And a number we haven't talked about yet today is number 2. Our favorite Cardinal. Red Schoendienst has not been to spring training yet, and we're hoping that he'll have a chance to be there for opening day. And Red is such a fixture in this organization and has been around, Dan, nearly 70 years in a Cardinal uniform. How about that?
Well, this year celebrating his 70th year in Major League Baseball overall. 70 years for Red Schoendienst. And there's a strike to Don Kelly. Played with the Detroit Tigers, now with Miami. Runners at first and second. Marlins have added to their lead. They scored 1 in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the 7th, and another here in the bottom of the 8th. Part of our speaker series coming up will feature Lou Brock and Red together. It's coming up in late April. Those are always special nights. Fans to get up close and see the Hall of Famers, and Red and Lou will be together. That's in late April. And to get your tickets, just head to cardinals.com/events. Be an off night for the club, and Red and Lou together. The 2-1. Now 3-1.
Well, one thing I've liked here this afternoon, and you think about the overall Cardinal effort, trailing by 4 here in the 8th inning, but you look at what Carlos Villanueva and Tim Cooney did in the middle innings. Both those guys extremely sharp. Just 1 hit in those middle 4 innings. Very, very good job.
Cosma, tough play, and Kelly is safe, and the bases will be loaded. So the bases are loaded with 2 outs and a 6-2 Miami lead. Avery Romero will be the hitter.
Cosma did everything he could do. Kelly runs well enough that Rosenthal gets an extended look here today. More pitches than he wanted to throw.
More than Mike Matheny wanted to see, I'm sure, as well. So lefty now getting loose in the Cardinals pen, and Derek Lilliquist on his walkie-talkie down to Blaze Ilsley, who is the Cardinals bullpen coach. And a strike. Rosenthal may have gotten a gift there for strike 1. 6-2 Miami, bases loaded, 2 down. There's a look at Blaze. Back again. That pitch at 96 on the gun here. 20 pitches for Trevor Rosenthal. Romero is looking for his first hit this spring. The 1-1. And a ground ball to second. This should do it. That will send us to the 9th. Rosenthal gives up a run. Marlins add to their lead. It's 6-2 Miami. have not looked back. 10 hits aside in a 6-2 lead for Miami over St. Louis. Welcome back. It's the top of the 9th here at Roger Dean Stadium. The Cardinals, the visitors, as both these franchises share this complex facility. Roger Dean Stadium as Sam Dyson comes in for Miami.
Talking about these two teams sharing this complex, I was reminded as we celebrate the 85 Cardinals team throughout this year, the 30th year anniversary of that, I'm reminded of really where some of that New York Met Cardinal rivalry came from. Both the clubs would share St. Petersburg as a spring training place, and so not only competing in, at the time, the National League East in the division, but also in spring training seeing each other quite a bit. And really, those are terrific years. We'll be celebrating the 85 team and all the great players from that particular season all summer long. But the Marlins and the Cardinals certainly get to know each other very well. A ton of games against each other here in spring training. The difference being the Cardinals and the Marlins are in different divisions.
Nationals, along with the Blue Jays, it looks like they'll be relocating to this area, Palm Beach area, which then would give you enough teams to stay in Florida. Houston is also in that conversation.
And that may happen quickly. Here we're talking about the B game, which we knew happened here earlier today. A lot of the young Cardinal players, young Marlins, competing against each other. I remember it was a B game when I first saw Dwight Gooden as an 18-year-old pitch at 10 o'clock in the morning. Throwing 150 miles an hour at 10 o'clock in the morning was not fair.
You thought, this guy's got a pretty good chance.
I'd say so. It was unbelievable how good he was.
Well, that's the one thing, and you bring up a great point, is that if you're the Cardinals or the Marlins, even though you're not in the same division, you are in the same league.
Right.
You don't want to face each other this much.
No.
And for the Marlins, they're going to face Washington here. They'll face the Atlanta Braves, all in their division. Mets, another one. That pitch is taken high. I don't necessarily want them to see Jose Fernandez late in spring.
Right.
Or my closer. You know, those are at-bats that do carry over to an extent to the regular season. You're a pitcher. You remember how you went after a particular hitter. And you don't know if that goes into week 1, week 2, or week 7.
One of the things that I just is kind of a pet peeve of mine. We've advanced so far down the road in terms of sabermetric and understanding statistics in this game and matchups and all that. Well, the matchups are not just games that happen during the major league season. I mean, it's the playoffs, it's spring training, it's winter ball. It's not, you haven't just faced a guy 5 times. You may have faced him 25 times. And so to say, well, he's only 1 for 5 off of this guy is not the full story. And I don't know whether baseball will ever get to that point in matchups where you include every single at-bat. But you share a spring training complex, you're going to see Dyson and Cishek and the Marlins pitchers quite a bit.
Scott Moore grounds out. Runner advances to second with 1 out. And it brings in Pete Kozma. Wilson, the runner at second, a leadoff walk. Moore, the ground out. And now it's Kozma. That is the beauty of the teams in Arizona. 8 or 9 teams within about 45 minutes of each other. And
so
that's why Will Ferrell can jump around.
That's how he did that.
Yes. Probably wouldn't happen here in Florida.
He'd be doing a lot of driving here in Florida.
I love it down here. I think it's the perfect spot, easy to get to for Cardinal fans. And even though this is technically a Marlins home game, this is as much a Cardinal home game that you'll ever see down here at Roger Dean Stadium. A lot of red in the seats.
Cardinal fans love the spring training trip, and you come once to spring training, you'll probably do it again and again and again.
You'll be hooked. The 1-1. Kozma hits it to short. Long throw, and Pete is safe. And Cosma has a couple of hits today. The only play there might have been able to go to third, but even then would have been very, very tough.
Long throw. Cosma runs well. Cosma, one of a few Cardinal players off the bench who's been on base a couple of times. Cosma twice. Stanley's been on base twice, as has Ty Kelly and Justin Wilson, all off the bench.
And the first pitch is taken low by Dean Adams. They hold the runner at first, up by 4 here in the ninth. Anna grounded out sharply to second. There's a breaking ball taken outside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes.
Part of holding the runner here is you want to keep the double play in order, and if you just let him take second base, you make your pitcher's job a little tougher. Of course, at this point, not too many people concerned about the score as much as you are players getting good work in and good at-bats. But as we learned from Mike Matheny yesterday, he does care about winning. He wants to create a culture of winning even in spring training.
Three and 1 the count on Dean Anna. And a fly ball lifted out to left. It is slicing. Catch is made. Runner will tag up. And the Cut's into the lead 6-3 as Dean Anna picks up the RBI to score Wilson.
The catcher, number 82, Carson.
Here's Carson Kelly, and there are some very high hopes with Carson Kelly, who's been moved to behind the plate, played his first year as a catcher in the organization just a year ago. And the first pitch, a fastball in there for a strike.
Dan, when you're in the development business, and the Cardinals most certainly are in that business, developing young players, you don't really want to think about it. You don't want to talk about it too much, but you have to start planning for where are we after Yadier Molina. Not too early to start thinking about that.
And that'll do it. Strikeout of Kelly, and this game is over. Miami holds on for a 6-3 win over the Cardinals.
Well, we saw some good things here this afternoon. Again, Villanueva and Cooney out of the Cardinals bullpen. We saw some good play off the bench from some Cardinals. And I think of most concern to Cardinal fans is hopefully the health of Tommy Pham, who strained a quad, we understand. Hopefully he'll be back and continue his very, very good spring training.
We wrap it up in just a moment. We have baseball again tomorrow and hockey. Back with more from Jupiter in just a moment.